there, what's going on everyone? I'm Suchin Pak and you're watching MTV News on MTV Chi. Now, there's nothing wrong with the age-old recreational pursuit of violin, cello, and piano. After all, our parents only mean well, but Johnny Hi-Fi frontman Eric Xu says times are a-changin' and his music is anything but traditional. Check this out.
Music has always been my most beloved passion. So far, we have not yet seen an Asian-fronted, music group. So, I think the time will come, and I think the time is, now.
And that's why Taiwanese-American rocker Eric Xu launched the annual Asian Rock Fest. Now in its second year, this fall's show will feature 6 bands, sounding off at New York's famous B.B. King's. The festival's goal to spotlight promising musicians while at the same time breaking down long-standing stereotypes.
We're not all, a bunch of nerdy kids, who are superstars on classical pianos and violins. More and more people are willing to put down their violins and their pianos and pick up electric guitar. When I first moved here, the Asian music scene almost was non-existent. Occasionally, you see James Iha on MTV playing guitar for the Smashing Pumpkins. But as far as, Asian rock music scene, it was almost non-existent.
And unlike Iha, Eric stands front and center, singing and rocking the guitar with his band Johnny Hi-Fi. A well-earned place for a kid who moved to the U.S. from Taiwan in the late 80s and got his first taste of the spotlight when performing at his Austin, Texas high school talent contest. Eric's come a long way from school gyms, though. Johnny Hi-Fi first made a stir in Austin's venerated indie music scene and is now rocking New York City, where Eric's lived since 1999. They've also played national TV and radio gigs, recently sharing the stage with Taiwanese rock legend Ah Yue.
Well, he's actually one of the first rock musicians to play rock music in Taiwan. And so, for me to have the opportunity to open for him on his U.S. tour, the very first U.S. tour for any Asian rock bands, I was very blessed, and I was fortunate enough to actually get in touch with some of his fans.
It's not all about rock and roll for Johnny Hi-Fi, though. Eric openly admits listening to pop stars like Jay Chou and Faye Wong, not to mention the now classic music of his youth.
I think growing up in the 80s, it's got me sort of addicted to 80s music, especially with this revival of the 80s music coming up. I feel very lucky, and I'm liking what they're playing on the radio now. Here comes a love song on the radio.
All those pop and new wave influences may explain Johnny Hi-Fi's affinity for the softer side of rock. Eric belts out a slew of ballads on his debut album 30 and the current release Sad Stories.
I think Asians in general are very, very emotional people. Most of the songs that I write are about the inner struggles and also the struggles in a relationship between two people, or a relationship between you and the society, or the relationship between you, growing up in an Asian family, how strict your parents are and how you're trying to break the mold and do something that's completely different.
Definitely different, Eric writes songs in both Chinese and English depending on his mood and the number of syllables in a word.
A great melody is a great melody. It doesn't matter what language it was sung in, and a good song is a good song at the end of the day.
Well, Johnny Hi-Fi is currently recording a new EP, which the band says will sound more indie rock than their past albums. You'll be able to decide for yourself as well. The group plans to tour nationwide early this year. That's it for now. Check back here for more news at 10 to the hour, right here on MTV Chi.